get started. Alright, I guess we'll just start off by importing videos. If Actually, you know what? Let's start off before that. Let's start off by making a new project. So whenever you want to make a new project in After Effects, you go up to File and click New Project. And I already have a project opened, so this is my new project. Now we want to make a new composition. So when you click that little button down here on the bottom left, located in the project panel, this box will come up. Now depending on what we're editing, you want to make sure that your preset is set to whatever works for you. So I'm going to be editing, say, a vine. I'm going to leave it at 480 by 480 at a frame rate of 29.97. And duration, I'm going to make it a bit longer than 7 seconds because 7 can be kind of annoying when you're trying to edit. So I'm going to go to 15. Alright. Now that we have our composition made, the next thing we get to do is import our footage. So I have some footage that I filmed today that I'm going to import. Now to do this, just give me a second. There are a few different ways. The first way, which I prefer, is you just select your footage and you just click and drag. And it'll import. I'll see if I can turn up my mic. Is that better? I turned up the audio a lot, I think. One second. Let me know if my mic is still quiet. Alright, forget it. If my mic's quiet, turn up your volume because my mic's being stupid. Alright. Alright. So once you import your footage, actually I'll show you the other way of importing footage. So let's just get rid of this. The second way to import footage is to double click on this box here. Then it'll open up this little finder box and you can select everything you want. Alright, now that we got our footage, we just want to drag it down to our timeline, and now we have it up in our composition there. Now I'm just going to go over some of the basics. So to trim footage, you can put the mouse there and you get this little symbol, and you can trim it all you want. You know what I'm saying? And the same goes for the other side. But sometimes, like in this case, the other side is too far away and I can't click on it. So what I'd suggest doing is using this shortcut. So it is Command-Shift-D for Mac, and for other people, for Windows users, I believe it's Control-Shift-D. I could be wrong, but basically what that does is it just splits the clip. But the problem is that if you don't have if you don't have the specific clip selected, it's gonna trim all the clips. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you have the specific clip selected before you want to trim. I'll just get rid of those. Alright, so now we have this footage of my friend Jordan dancing with a sombrero. It's pretty entertaining to watch. So as you can see, I'm just scrubbing along here with my time indicator. I can do the same by moving the footage. And now there is this problem that pretty much everyone has when they first start using After Effects, is they want to preview what they have, so they click space. And what this does is it starts basically loading all the frames, but a lot of people think that space is preview, which in this case it is actually not. If you want to preview your footage, you want to go over to this preview box and click on the very last arrow. It's called RAM preview. Basically what this does is it loads the footage into your RAM and then plays it from there. And actually my footage is playing out of the wrong audio setting, so I'm just going to change that. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually just changing my audio hardware. Instead of built-in, I'm going to go to wireless stereo headset, because that is what you guys hear. And usually once you change your hardware, it freezes. It's common. I think I've heard of lots of people having this issue. So right now I'm just waiting for that to resolve. But while I'm waiting, I'll start reading some of the comments. It's Control-Shift-D. Indeed it is. Cameron is almost 6K followers away from 200K. That's what I read in the comments. Okay, looks like that loaded, so now I'll preview that again. So here we have Jordan dancing. By the way, shout out to Jordan, his Vine account Stashy Stan. Alright, so now we know how to trim clips. We can, oh yeah, so we can also delete clips. So as you know, you Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D and then click delete. That's how you'd delete the rest of your clip. Yeah, what else should I go over? I don't even know. Alright. Alright, so the next thing I want to go over is all your footage settings. So when you first click this down arrow, you have transform and you have audio. Let's start with audio because audio is simple. So you have your audio levels, which you can go up and down, and you have your waveform. So here we can see my waveform under Jordan's little dance here. And say I wanted to have the audio fade in or fade out. Basically, what we want to do is use something called keyframes. If you don't know what keyframes are, it's basically where you want to lock your values. So here I have my audio levels. I want to lock. I'm going to make that black because that's standard. It usually starts off black. So these are pretty straightforward. You have your opacity, which you can bring up and down. You have your rotation, which rotates. You have your scale, which you'd think makes your clip bigger. And you have your position. So here's your X and here's your Y. And your anchor point, a lot of people don't know what your anchor point is. Basically what it is well, it's where the, I don't know how to explain it other than that's where the anchor point of your footage is. So say I moved my anchor point all the way to the right, I could then rotate my footage at the right. But say I wanted it in the middle, then I could rotate it from the middle by moving my anchor point. I'm going to put all that back to normal. Now with all these effects, they can all be keyframed. So say I want my footage to fade in, I can click the keyframe button, move the keyframe over, and then I can bring it all down to where I want it to be. So I have it in 1 second, my footage will fade in. And you can do the same for fading out. You just do the reverse. So I'll have 100% and 0%. So now let's RAM preview that. Alright, sweet. And the same goes for everything else with your scale and all that. And those are some pretty basic basics. Now my live stream is being very delayed right now. I wish it would catch up so I could actually ask you guys questions. Alright, you want me to show you how to use masks and cloning? It's really convenient because I filmed a Vine today that actually has clones. So here we go. Let's do that. Alright, so I just dragged my footage into my composition, but as you can see here, it's really zoomed in. It didn't fit to the composition. What you want to do if this happens to you, well, you can change the composition settings so that it fits your footage, or what you can do is go to Layer, Transform, and then Fit Comp Height, Fit Comp Weight, Fit to Comp Weight, oh my gosh, Fit to Comp Width, fit to comp height or just fit to comp. I'm going to go to fit to comp height because that's what I want. So what it did is it just fit the height to my composition box. So now I don't really like how that looks because it's cutting him off. So I'm going to just go to the native 1080p, and that's the wrong 1080p. HDTV. Did I shoot this in 1080? I think I did, yeah. There. Transform, fit to comp. Alright, so say I wanted to clone Jordan. Like later on in this clip I have me. And then keep going. Look at my face. Keep going, there's Jordan. There we go. I'm just dragging this back to the beginning. Okay. So what I have here is I have my clip, I have the first clip of Jordan on the left, me in the middle, and then I have a second clip of me in the middle and Jordan on the right. So what I'm going to do basically is I want to put a mask between me and Jordan, and then so that we can have a second Jordan. So I'm going to click on my top layer. I'm going to go to the mask tool. Actually, sorry, that's the rectangle tool, which will create a rectangular mask. And I'm going to just put it right there. Alright, so now you can already see that this is basically how you do it. You have your one footage and then you have your other footage, and you put a mask in between them so that it looks like they're in the same shot. But except for it's not exactly how I want it to look. So I'm going to pull out the pen tool, which was up here, and I'm going to start adding a bunch of points. Now that I've added these points, I can be more specific on where I want my footage to crop or mask. I think it might go right to my shoulder. Now, this is not the greatest. As you can see, there's a big line here. Oh, didn't mean to do that. As you can see, there's a huge line in between clips. To resolve this, we want to make sure our mask is selected and click F, and it'll bring up our feather tool. Or we can click the down arrow. I prefer using the shortcuts, but sometimes you gotta learn the shortcuts. But whatever. And you just want to turn up the feathering, and it will basically merge the line there, or blend the two clips. And then you can just play around with it a little more to get it where you want. Now this looks like I'm going to have to go in and do a lot more editing. That doesn't look too bad. It's around here that it starts to become a problem. Alright, that'll do. I don't want to spend too much time on that. So there, we have two Jordans. Let's give this a RAM preview. I don't even know what's going on. I want to listen to this one second. I'm just gonna pause where I am right now because I don't want to go too much more into cloning and masking. We can do more masking, I guess, but I'm just gonna read some of the comments. Color grades, I don't, because well, usually for vines and stuff, I just don't bother. I just started getting into a little bit of color grading, but usually for After Effects stuff, I don't color grade. We can do some motion tracking. I don't use rotoscoping, so I can't really teach that, but I know it can be very tedious. Yeah, the delay between the stream and reality is a lot. So alright, let's do some motion tracking. If you're just joining us now, I went over some basics already. We just finished masking and now we're going to go into motion tracking. So let's look for something I can motion track. Alright, I hope Jordan's not watching, but I'm going to use his footage from last night. Oh man, I should have done what Cool Folder said. Make a request. Save all my files for each thing, but I forgot. I deleted everything by now. You guys want to see knife throwing? You want to see how I edit them? All right, first we'll do motion tracking, and then we'll go into a knife throwing vine that I still have to edit that I haven't posted yet. All right, motion tracking. I'm just gonna delete all this footage. We don't need it. All right, let's find some footage. It's not loading. Just give it a sec. Yep, this is what I'm using. All right, I'm gonna open these two clips. So this is a vine that we posted on Jordan's account. If you guys aren't following Jordan, his username is StashyStan. So let's do a vine. Background to white. All right. I hope Jordan doesn't mind me using his footage, but this is how he made his vine last night. So basically, here I'll show you the footage. What we got here is Jordan smiling, and then it goes down to him opening his shirt. And then our other footage is him singing to, or lip syncing, Hello by somebody, I forget. Alright, so motion tracking. Basically what I want to do is have Jordan's face, if this will figure itself out. Basically what I want to do is have Jordan's face masked to his stomach. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim this. That command was Control-Shift-B. And I'm going to trim this over here. Control-Shift-B. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, oops. Oh yeah, so when you're making footage smaller, basically what happens is this, and it gets all distorted and stuff. What you can do is you can hold down Shift and it will keep it to its original parameters, or keep it to the same ratio. Alright, so now what I want to do is have Jordan's face I'm going to mask it. So I just clicked on the pen tool. Oop. I clicked on the pen tool and I'm going to start cropping out his face. Oh. I'm using a magic mouse and it likes to zoom in and out a lot. Oh, another command is Command plus and Command minus. So you can Command minus goes out, Command plus goes in. I use that a lot as well. Alright, so now we have his face, it's there, and as we can see it's not really blending the way we want it to. It's like it's not the same pigment as, or it's not, his face isn't as tan as his stomach as you would imagine living in Canada. So what we want to do is go to our mask settings and we want to go to feather. We want to feather this a bit so that it starts to blend a little more. But the problem is that you start to see the rest of his head. We don't want that, so we want to use a little bit less. So basically to the point where you can't see his head, or his hair and such. So that's a bit better. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to tuck this in a bit. Now, I think I'm going to bring up the size of his face as well, so I'm going to click S, bring up the scale, and it's pretty good. So now I have this head masked to his stomach. So what we have here is basically, actually I'll bring the head out a little longer. So basically the head's just floating in the middle of the screen, and at this particular frame we have it where we want it to be. We want to basically have it always on his stomach. What we could do is keyframe every frame and just keep moving it and doing that. That becomes very tedious and time consuming. So what we're going to do instead is motion track. So I'm just going to select on our background layer, close this, have this open, click on track motion. Now it's going to go over to your layer tab, and this little box here is going to pop up. We're going to put it on his belly button because we want to track his belly button. Basically, whenever you're motion tracking, you want to put this box on something that is different and it has contrast between the things around it. So as we can see, the belly button is a bit darker than the rest of his skin. So I'm just going to put this X here and zoom in a little. That was Command plus. And now this, I don't exactly know what all these do, but it's kind of like this is the box. The inner box is what what it wants to search for every frame, and then it'll follow. And then this box is to catch the things around it. So now that we have that selected, actually I'm going to go all the way to the last frame. Let's make this our last frame. This little bar here, this is called your, basically, I don't know what it's called. It's the composition and how long you want the composition to be. So say this bar is at 1 second, when you save your video, it's only going to be a second long. But I want it to be 6 seconds, say 7 seconds. Then I'm going to put this composition at 7 seconds. So I'm going to go all the way to the end of the video. I'm actually going to push this closer. And I'm going to go all the way to the end and then put this marker where I want it. Now we have a few ways to motion track. We have the single frame, and then we have all the frames, and one way goes backwards. These arrows go backwards, these arrows go forwards. Because I went to the end of the clip, I want to go backwards. So I'm going to start off by doing a few test frames just to make sure that it's not going to fall off. And then now that I know that it's working pretty well, I'm just going to hit the backwards button. And I'm going to stop it there. And now, because the belly button is going to go out of frame, we're just going to have to do a bit of guessing. So as we can see right there, it went way off track. Oops, I'm just going to move this back on track. Which can't. Alright. So now it is too far, we can't track it anymore. Oops. Alright. So now we created all these little keyframes. What we want to do is apply that to a null object. What a null object is, it's basically an invisible object with no other purpose than to assign values to. So what we want to do is in our tracker tab, we want to go to edit target. Now this little box is going to pop up. And we want to go to null 1 because that is the null that we created. And hit apply. Now what that's going to do, if we go back to our composition, which is not letting me. Oh, little box popped up. Okay, so after I hit apply, it asks me if I want to apply to the X and Y, or X only, or Y only. I'm going to do X and Y. Click OK. So now we're in our main composition again. Now we have this little red box that is basically the anchor point is located, or is tracked with our tracking points. So I'm going to go back to the end of our footage, bring the face back in, and now I'm going to make this parent to null. Basically what, oh, I did the wrong clip. I'm going to make this parent to null. Basically what this does is it'll make this clip, all the transform values will be parent, or will be connected to all the transform values of this null. So basically what that does is now the face is masked to his stomach. So there is some basics of motion tracking. I hope that helped. If you guys want to ask me any questions about motion tracking, and then we'll go into my knife throwing vine, because it looks like you guys want to see some of that. Okay. The inner box is what After Effects is looking for. The outer box is for each frame. Okay, I'm gonna go over and show you how I do some of my knife throwing lines because you guys wanted to see. Alright, so here's one that I haven't uploaded. Here, should I save this? Nah, I won't save that. Alright, so here's a knife throwing line I just did with Essa. I'm gonna go into the main composition. Here, I'll show you the footage. Alright, oh, I don't want to do that. So basically, for this Vine, it was all one clip, and why can't this be previewed? Oh, because it got time remapped. Okay. So basically for this clip, I get to the part. Basically what I do is he has the knife in his hand, and what is going on? Okay, so he has one knife in his hand, and I have a knife in my hand, and what I do is I pretend to throw it. So as you can see, it drops right about here. Oops, didn't mean to zoom in. You can see the knife's right there, and as I keep going, drops, 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 and surprise, the knife is already in his hand, and pretends to catch it. Just keep going, timeline, and he walks over to the camera, shows that he just caught this knife like a boss, accidentally skipped it, shows the knife, and there. So now, how do I make it look like I throw the knife? Basically what I do is basically Photoshop out the knife for every frame. So as you can see, there's the knife, there's the real knife, and then for the next frame, I have this fake knife that I've blurred like crazy. If I can turn this off. So I have this fake knife that has been blurred and motion blurred. I just took off some of the blur. But anyways, and then I just have this object flying through the air, which is just a picture of a knife. And then when I put the motion tracking on, it looks pretty decent. Looks alright. Still not done this one, I don't think. And then he walks over. Oh yeah, and then for this, the camera was on a tripod, and I added a bunch of fake camera movement, which I'm not going to cover because it's, I don't know, it's pretty advanced. I don't know, it's not that advanced. But you put in this expression, and it creates, I put this expression to the null object, the null object moves, and then I made another null object, and had it move where I wanted, and basically parented them together, and then parented the footage to it. And that's how I had the fake camera movement and fake pan. But yeah, so then he catches it, brings it over, and yeah. So basically I have to Photoshop out almost every frame. No, not almost every frame, sorry. I only Photoshopped like 5 frames, and then I just bring them back in. And then all together, if I go to comp 3, I did some color correction, so that clip came out really yellow, so I added some blues, and it evened itself out. So I'll RAM preview that. This Vine isn't even up yet, so you guys are getting some VIP footage, you know? So that was pretty boss. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't really go over the preview box. Basically, in the preview box, you can click preview, but then there's also this other option. Right now I have it set to loop. You can go to, what is this, ping pong? So it plays forwards and then it'll start playing backwards. So now it's starting to play backwards. I guess the audio doesn't play when it goes backwards. Or I can change it to just play once and then it'll stop. That sounds really loud. I should probably turn it down. No. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back to loop. And those are basically how I do my knife throwing vines. I'm just sitting here watching the live stream. It's very delayed. Like it's a few minutes, but I'm just reading some of the comments now. Alright, well, I think I'm pretty much done. If there's any last requests, maybe I'll turn on my camera and we can just do Q&A. Just talk. Just me and you. The live stream. You know? Wow, I just figured out so I didn't have to hear myself anymore. Glad the live stream's basically over. Could have kept my headphones on the whole time. Didn't even know. Yeah, I'll turn the camera around and we can have some fun. Oh my gosh, what is happening to my face? So yeah, I hope someone learned something. What camera do I use? It's a good question. I use Canon Rebel T4i. I'll show it to you. The lens I use is 50mm 1.4, and I would highly suggest the 1.4 over the 1.8 if you're going to buy a 50mm. Yeah, so this is the camera I use, is the T4i. Other than that, don't know what else to tell you. Do motion graphics use the same principle as motion track? Yeah, it's the PS3 headset. It's pretty freaking awesome. Actually, no, I don't really like the PS3 headset, but it's like the best I got, so whatever. Does motion graphics use the same principles as motion track? I don't exactly know what you mean. You can motion track motion graphics if that works, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, I'm watching myself. Should talk about the T4i and the 50mm. How much was it? The T4i, for all my camera equipment, I've spent like, I don't even know, but for the body, I think this body is about $600. The lens is $450. So I guess together that's what, $1,000, $450, maybe even after tax like $1,100. My tripod, I'll show you my tripod, it's pretty sweet, just bought it. Here's my tripod. It basically has a quick release plate. It's got a fluid head. It's about, I don't know how tall it is, maybe like 5.5 feet. Other than it's brandless, I bought it on Amazon. I don't know much about it. It's pretty decent. Other than the fact that there's a little rubber thing that's fallen off that has no purpose other than design. It's pretty good. And actually I can't find, oh, there's the rubber thing. Rubber thing's fallen off. But I don't know how to fix that. It won't go back in. I can't get it in. Yeah. There's my tripod. It was about $250, I think. Yeah, $250. Can you answer my previous question? Let me look for your previous question. For videos, GoPro, music, background, goes underwater, and it muffles. Basically, I have no idea. I don't do a lot of audio. I'm more of a visual kind of guy. I'd have to look that up. Can you show us when you called out Brody Smith? I don't know if I still have that on my computer. I can check. Because usually when I make a Vine, I don't save the project files. I can show you when the beat drops. I think a lot of you guys saw that. I'll change my camera. So we uploaded this Vine to Peak's account. Oh, this was the trailer. Here's the Vine. We uploaded this Vine to Peak's account, and it was pretty straightforward up until when the beat drops. Basically, I'm just gonna read my text message. Okay, so basically, it's just footage. And when the beat drops, I have an adjustment layer, and on that adjustment layer, I have brightness that is basically going up and down every once in a while. And then I have a colorized hue, and basically I just keyframed it at, basically what it does is that you can go through the color spectrum. I keyframed it at one position, and at the end of the clip I keyframed it at another position that was pretty far away. And that created the color effect, and yeah. So right here, this is a good example of my 50mm lens. You can see like the nice depth of field between like his hand, and you can't even see the background, it's just negative space. And so we just drop the beat into sand. And here's another example of the beat just hitting the ground. But yeah. I don't know what else to do. I'll put my camera back. Das ist me. Well, we got a total of like 40 people watching. Like not right now, in total. Right now there's 13 people watching. But I think next time I'm gonna do something different and get more people to watch. The awkward pause between like ending a segment and reading the comments. and such. I feel disconnected from all of you. There's some iTunes cards I gave away one time. They're just chilling on my desk. I sent them the code and now they're just collecting dust. Yeah, I think I might wrap this up and go play some video games. Invite some followers. We can have some party and, you know, play some Gary's Mod. I like Gary's Mod. Just started playing it with my friend just a few days ago. Play some Gary's Mod with my friends. If anyone wants to join, I'm gonna make a Vine about it. Fun fact, I've been using After Effects for like 5 years, since I was like 13. Anyways, that was fun. Peace.